Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another session, actually, session 17 of hashtag Grow Her Game. And today we have with us another special guest. And our topic for today is building a sustainable football business and thriving in a pandemic. And we have my co moderator, Natasha Alquiros, to introduce our guest as always, Tosh.
Hey everyone, and of course, our guest for today is a former DLSU athlete and a current Football Fanatics women's team player. She's had 17 years of coaching experience thus far. She's an AFCC license, US Soccer Federation E license, and also took part in the FIFA Women's Coaching Course certificate. She is the co-founder of Football Fanatics. We have Candice Gray del Rosario.
Hi. Hello,
Yay.
Tash. Hi, Belay.
Welcome, Candice.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, let's just get right into it. Candice, I'm not sure a lot of people know about your story. So let's start it off from the very start. How did you fall in love with the sport? How did you fall in love with football?
Well, growing up, well, my dad was a football player. So growing up, I was exposed to his stories, hearing all about what a wonderful time he had playing football. All his lifelong friends were from football. So I grew up seeing football as the sport that was played by him and by our family. And then LaSalle Zobel started a football team. I think I was a freshman in high school. And at the time, I was a track and field athlete. So when they had tryouts for the team, it was a no-brainer. I tried out, and that's how my journey started, basically as a player.
And take us through as well of that transition from being a player, because we know you've played in high school as well as in college for DLSU. But what was that click in your head that made you decide to try out coaching?
Well, my husband and I, so Avery and I, we started Football Fanatics in 2003. At the time, we were in our early 20s. It was the year 2003. We were just dating at the time. And we had always wanted to have a football school. Like it was a dream. We definitely never imagined to make it our livelihood or that it would become our life, basically. But it was a dream. It was something always at the back of our heads. But we never really gave it a lot of thought. The thing is, the reason why I guess we felt that way was because we had such a great experience playing football. Our college football experience was wonderful. We are forever grateful to our college coach, which was Coach Hans Smith. And he gave us an experience that really made us love the sport even more than we did when we first started it. And we created bonds and we created such wonderful memories. And it really shaped us. It really made us who we were, not just our academic learnings in LaSalle, but it was the experience of being part of a team. So we wanted that same experience. We wanted to be able to give that same experience to the next generation. That's basically where we were coming from. The way we wanted to give back to the sport was through being educators. And that's how that came about. But of course, we were young, and it's not just that start up something. And we were, of course, scared. We had our corporate jobs. Abe was in headhunting. I was working for the Chilean embassy at the time. I had stayed there for 3 years before I had left that job to pursue this full time. But I think that we started off with putting everything down on paper. We made a business plan, sort of. We came up with what our vision would be. We talked about what kind of school we wanted to be, what our approach was. We thought of who we would want, who would be the right people to do this endeavor with, finding the perfect match, like-minded people who shared the same values. And that's basically how it all started. We began with Cuenca in Alabang as our first camp. We did it on the weekends, by the way, because we were working Monday to Friday, and we were just really loving what we were doing. And as that first year, because it was September of 2003 when we started that, And I would say that the first module, which was about 5 weeks, we were gauging, we were, because based on our research and our experience, we were developing our curriculum, our approach, our philosophy, getting the dynamic of our work. Ava's the technical director, I'm the program director, so defining our tasks. And we started off with 8 kids. We remember clearly how we felt the first night before we opened. We were nervous, we were excited, we were anxious, we were worried that they weren't going to show up. They were like all the kids of our friends and some relatives. And that was, like our humble beginnings. And by the second module that we had in Cuenca, there were like 20 kids already. So it was really through word of mouth. We never really full on advertised other than our website. And then that's how that started in 2003. Coming into the following year, we started branching out. We went to Tahanan village in Parañaque and BF Homes. And we started the year after, we opened in Pasig, and we just kind of kept on going. Now, personally, what we had to do that was I quit my job first when we decided that we were going to go full time. I quit my job first and I took a coaching course in the States. Abe shifted to education. He taught in Southridge for 2 years with the objective of trying to understand the psychology of older children that he would be coaching in our football school. And then the year after that, we even went back to school to take up education and to eventually take the licensure exam for teachers, because our goal was not just to be good coaches, but to also be qualified teachers as well. So that's basically how that all started in the first year. Yeah.
And of course, as you're talking about those early journeys, and of course, as you guys both had jobs as well, I think that's a question a lot of people would like to know about was, when did you know that you were going to take that gamble? Both of you had stable jobs before this, but why take a gamble in sports, in football?
I think it was because it was how it made us feel. To be honest, it's when we were working on the weekends with the kids, because we love children, we love working with kids, and we love football. We're passionate about it. It's not just a sport. It's like always been a way of life for us. And we a lot of who we are is because of it. And the way we felt when we were coaching on the weekends in the side, when it was the sideline format, we were happy and we felt fulfilled, and we felt like we were doing something important and making a difference. We loved our jobs. I loved my job. I mean, I trained for it. I studied for it. I really could have stayed there and been happy. But there was a sense of fulfillment that is hard to explain, really. But we just knew at that time that if we wanted it to really reach its full potential, we have to go all in. That's where we were at. And we thought time is on our side. We're in our early 20s. If it doesn't work out, then we can always do other things, but we have to give it a try. Like, we have to gamble, because it's like we kind of felt in our hearts this is what we were supposed to do. But we realized that if you go in half baked, you're never going to reach that full potential, or you'll never know. And what's the purpose of living if you're going to kind of hold back and not give things a shot? And that's where we were coming from. And like I said, we were in our early 20s, so we would schedule our camps around our surfing trips on weekends. Like, okay, if there was swell one weekend, we would time our camps to end by that weekend. We were young, but we were driven by passion. And even if we were driven by passion, and even if we didn't make the best business decisions all the time, we came out with a structure, and we really worked hard to develop our curriculum and to just continuously be a student of the game, to be humble, and to just be constantly hungry to be better at what we're doing. That was our mindset at the time.
And of course, as you were talking about your mindset and how you were able to start it all out, we also want to get into how the priorities shifted as well throughout the years. Because as you said, you started Football Fanatics at a young age, and you started out with 8 kids, and then eventually it kept growing. So what was the shift in mindset, in shift in priorities that helped football fanatics grow into what it is now?
I think that as the camp grew, as the program grew, the needs that rising was also changing and evolving. And we run with it. We run with those things. I mean, we don't stop it. Like people think our schedules are so busy, we're doing so many things, but it was never intended to be like, oh, let's try to do 100 things at once. It wasn't. It was like whenever we would feel a need for something, we would work on it. If we started out with the football fanatics camps, which is our grassroots program, and it's based was football for everyone, not just, I mean, not just those who are talented, who are gifted from the moment they come out of their mother's womb. Yes, we have those kinds of players, but what about those who might be interested and never knew that they had an athletic side or that could be developed? We wanted to be developmental in that aspect, and also to show it's not just about being the best player or being the best team, but the way it forms your character and the way it shapes you for life, like makes an impact in your life, is something that should be given equal importance on top of wanting to win and do well and get trophies, etc. And so we started off with football fanatics, and as our kids started to grow and get better as well, we saw a need to develop, let's say, an advanced program, and that's how FAST came about. So FAST is Football Fanatics Advanced Supplementary Training Program. As our kids started growing, we developed a new program that was suitable for their needs and that would help hone their growth. And then from there, more competition started to come about. I think at the time it was the UFL Youth, and we ended up having Forza FC, which is our team that competes in a more competitive tournament, which is now the YFL. And so we started to grow in that sense in terms of what we were offering our children. And from the 8 kids, it started going into the hundreds. And we were branching out to different locations because we wanted football in everybody's backyard. We wanted to make it accessible. And I think a very important thing that I have to mention also is the people that we got on board. Like, if there's one thing that we are most proud of, it's the kind of people that we have with us. We have great coaches, and we're not just talking like on resume that they're good football players. They're good people. They are good teachers. They really genuinely care about the kids, and we're such a family. And that sort of environment that we have, we pass that on to the children. They are brothers and sisters. They are family. We look out for each other beyond the pitch. And so the program, the community has been developed in that way. And then more programs as we started moving along kept arising as the years were going by. Yeah.
I'd like to put emphasis on the one thing that you mentioned, most especially when you're talking about your coaches and the people that you work with, especially saying that they're good people and they're good teachers. And especially for molding young athletes, it's so important that you mentioned that beyond having coaches that are good players, it's that they're good people and they're good teachers, because a lot of kids, what they take after is really from what their coaches, it's from what they see. And so to surround themselves in such a good environment, that's such a great way to grow moving forward. And of course, as we were talking about all your football programs, we literally had to divide this into different aspects, because as you said, you had football fanatics that started out in one setting, which was Cuenca, and eventually it grew on to how many places do you offer your football camps? And
Well, for the first year, because I was September of 2003, we started off in Alabang. And then we did things gradually. We didn't want to rush anything because, like I said, we wanted to iron out our program. We wanted to have the structure really in place, create our curriculum, and just find the right people, define our tasks. So the first year, I would say from 2003 to 2004, we kept it at just Alabang. By 2004, we opened in Parañaque, which was BF. It was shortly followed after a couple of months after we opened one in Pasig in Meralco Center. And these venues, well, prior to this pandemic, these are all still open. I mean, these are places we've been having camps for the past how many years. So there's Pasig, and then eventually we branched out to Makati and Urdaneta Village, Makati. We have about 60 to 70 kids in that location, again, prior to the pandemic. And then when BGC opened a pitch, we were one of the first to utilize that venue also. And it's a great location because you can really get kids from different areas to be able to go, and it's very central. So those are our regular locations. Aside from that, we also started bringing our program to schools. So we saw a need also that some schools would need a service provider for club or for varsity, and so that they wouldn't have to worry about that. So we would take care of training the coaches, preparing the curriculum, just setting up their entire program, whatever their need may be. So we ended up, like, right now we handle the program of Woodrose, of Park Woodrose in Alabang. We handle their football program. I think we're on our third year already, or fourth year with them. A couple of preschools in BF, like Prep Camp, and one in QC, Good Start, all the way up near Trinoma, that area. So we do a summer program for them. And Optimal Academy is a school for children with special needs, also in the South. And we love that program as well. We handle their football program, and we're able to work with children of different abilities. And we really get to spread the love for football to everybody. And it really shows that football is for everyone. Okay, that program is Optimal Academy. We also have recently, last year, again, no, not last year, before the pandemic, also Reach International School in Magallanes. They don't have a field, but they have a basketball court in their facility. So we do futsal for them. And Elizabeth Seaton in Cavite as well, which we've had for many years, also is another school that we've worked with. So we really try to expose as many kids as we can to what we call the FF way, the football fanatics way of teaching, of living, of playing, basically. Yeah.
Take us through that course. So, of course, as we said, you had your football fanatics, and then from there you grew it. You had an advanced program. You took on Forza as well into your whole community. After that, you were able to tap in to school football programs. Take us through the process of how you're able to, in a sense, how are you able to tap into these schools for them to entrust their football programs to your clinic?
Well, to be honest, we we never went out of our way to propose these services. Um, I think through word of mouth, and maybe people who knew what we did or what we do, they would come to us and ask us, would you be able to propose a program for us? It always happened that way. We never had a plan, or a way of, okay, knocking on people's doors. We're very open to it, of course, but we also feel that it's a right fit. Like, before we had Thiago, our first son, we were the first to handle the Everest Academy football program. We were there for 7 years, and we worked their program from the ground up for 7 years, like from a club to a varsity. And it was a great experience. It's just that when we had our first son, which was Thiago, I was a new mom. Something had to give. We had so much going on in our lives at that time. And unfortunately, we had to let that go at that time and refer another coach. But again, all of these things happen by, I think, for us, anything that happens or that comes our way, we feel that it's God's will for it to happen. And what doesn't happen, we feel that it's not meant for us. So it was kind of that way with the schools. Now, there are certain projects that we pursued like full force, which was, like, for example, opening in Cebu, because I'm Cebuana. My mom was born in Cebu. I was born in Cebu. And when she died in 2013, I wanted to somewhat give a tribute to her. And we were thinking of going provincial and focusing on one out of Metro Manila location. And we chose Cebu as a tribute to my mom. And we we started off Coach Ave in an AFC course, made a great friend, Coach Totot, who became one of our first contacts in Cebu, who introduced us to a lot of good players. And we had tryouts there, and we basically built a family of FF Cebu. And it's still ongoing, and that family is growing. And every summer, we try to give interaction of our kids from Cebu with our kids from Manila to also help their network grow as well and give them exposure and opportunities beyond what they have wherever they are. So yes, there were some projects that we totally went full force out and proposed and really tried to grow. We're happy though that the schools are seeing the importance of having a legit football program, and it's not just being put aside, especially for the girls. Like, we are so proud that the Woodrow's administration, even in a pandemic, gave full on support to having an online program for girls. Like, they saw last year was our first year to join RIFA. Our girls did so well, both our younger team and our older team. And it's really nice to have the support of a school like Woodrow's that didn't say, okay, look, pandemic, it's not that important for the girls. It wasn't like that at all. So we're very lucky to have partnerships like that see the value in what we do.
Definitely. And the thing with what Football Fanatics does, and what's really inspiring about it is that it doesn't stop at just being a club. It doesn't just cater to one set of people. You're trying to, as you said, make football literally for everyone. And you try to do it in that school setting, in terms of people who want to just do it for fun, for kids who want to take it more seriously. And as we talk about the other aspect of the kids who want to really try to grow and develop their football career, another project that Football Fanatics offers, of course, is the Football Immersion and Cultural Exchange Program in Spain.
Yes.
So can you take us through about that project as well and your connections with FC Malaga?
Sure. So, well, first of all, the program, it's called FICEP. Okay, so it does stand for Football Fanatics Football Immersion and Cultural Exchange Program. We started that in 2012, and we had a goal. Ava and I had said that before, because we got married in 2010, and we said, before we have a family, before we have first child, or what we thought would only be our only child, but didn't happen that way. We said we wanted to create a program where our kids can experience football in Spain. We are big fans of their approach in teaching youth football. We feel very much in sync with the way their philosophies in teaching football. Our first experience with them, because our FICEP tie-up is with CEDIFA, so it's basically the governing body of youth football in the south of Spain and then in the Andalusian region. And so we met them back in 2006 here in the Philippines. They came here, gave a course, and we stayed in contact since then. We love what they taught us at that time, and we stayed in touch. And we said, even I said, one day we're going to take our kids to Spain, and we wanted a full-on experience. We didn't just want them to go to compete. We wanted them to be immersed in the culture. We wanted them to learn how to be self-sufficient. I mean, parents were welcome to come, but it wasn't necessary. We wanted them to understand, that football culture and way of life in a country like Spain, and to just ignite the fire that was within them, and to be around other kids, because the Spaniards, it's not that the Filipinos can't compete. We have very skillful children, but it's just that the Spanish kids, they come into the world already with a football at their feet, and they eat, breathe, and sleep football. So to expose our kids to that, and the level of maturity in Spain, usually the kids, in our observation, they could be 10, but their football IQ is that of your average 14-year-old. So we wanted our kids to be exposed to that. Now, the Spanish culture, the way the kids are, they're very playful, they're sarcastic, they're funny, but when they get on the pitch, it's down to business. When their coach is talking, there's a certain discipline that is remarkable, really. And we wanted our kids exposed to that. And in the first year that we brought our kids to Spain, of course, it had an excursion, Madrid, Barcelona. They saw the sights and watched La Liga games. was a training program under Sedifa. And what we saw that first year that we went was our kids came back more confident. They had a deeper understanding of the game. And it really just, took their interest in football to another level. And like I said, the confidence that it gave them. I'd have parents text us and say things like, before my son left, all he ever did was ask for money. And when he came back, suddenly he would like budget, like because in Spain, he'd have to budget his money and make it last. So it was way beyond the football. And that was what we wanted. It wasn't just teaching them, yeah, it's great. You see Spain and now all you think of is, Messi. Well, not anymore when in Spain, but in that time, and it wasn't just about that. We had kids that went back another year because the experience was so wonderful for them. So it was really for exposure. Now we did that every year. Again, when our little family started to grow, like we were like I had brought Tiago there at 3 months old. I brought Jolene there at 1 month old. So I'd be walking in the streets of Spain, seriously, with a breastfeeding cover, walking with a whole delegation behind us, because I would also serve as the translator for the delegation. And people would think Ava and I are crazy, like, having kids with us plus our children, but we don't leave them behind. But we manage because for us, it's never like, it's hard. No, it's not going to be hard. We're going to do it. We're going to make it work. And of course, it helps that we have wonderful children in our program. So that was that became every other year. We still do it. We're on hold this year. And last year, 2019, you mentioned FC Malaga. FC Malaga City is an academy also in the south of Spain. And our coach, one of our coaches that we worked with when we were working with Sedifa, also works with FC Malaga City. And they gave us an opportunity, not just for FF kids, but for kids all over the Philippines to be able to have access to their program. So what we would do is any child who's interested to study abroad, to take their high school or their college in Spain while experiencing that pro player kind of lifestyle where, every day you're training, but you're also going to school and having all these possible doors open for you. If, of course, you have to earn it. You don't just get a spot on any of their senior teams. You have to earn it. But just to have that door open to kids based in the Philippines, we were totally on board. We said it's within our roadmap for the kids. Some kids may want to stay here. That's okay. We've helped kids get into programs in US, NU. We've helped kids, go to schools locally and they're happy. We've referred players to LaSalle, wherever we feel they might be a match and whatever their heart desires, we're totally supportive. But we wanted to open that door beyond our summer immersion for kids who might have that dream to really just go all the way. And so when FC Malaga City presented that opportunity to us, totally on board. We've been partnering with them, and we're happy to say we have a player that is actually leaving in probably by next month to be our first Filipino player entering into this academy. So we will surely keep you guys posted on that. But it really is a dream come true, not just for him, but for all of us. Yeah.
I know it was kind of like a sidebar for Candice, but I just want to highlight when people say like, it's so hard, it can't be done to be a mom and, to grow your academy and your business this much. I mean, without the kids, like she took her license in Tacloban, I think, with Tiago, right? Am I right? And yeah,
Yes,
everywhere
yes,
they go, they
yes.
really have
She
Tiago
did.
and Jolene, very well adjusted kids who just like high fives everyone. And I feel like, you know, their personalities are very much shaped by the football world. But yeah, just goes to show you that if you really want something to happen, you're gonna make it happen. There's no like excuses for it.
I think also what helped us was the planning. Like people may find it a little bit too like anal in the sense that everything is so planned out. Don't have kids this, you do this, whatever. But it's worked for us. Every family is different. And
Mhm.
for us, we always knew that we would want our kids with us wherever we are, and we want them exposed to other people, and we want them to travel. And yes, it can be crazy to be on a plane with a toddler and a baby, but it's if you kind of set it in your mind that of course it's not just okay, I'm going to do this and have no plan. It won't work that way. But we had to be prepared. Like we had to know, okay, for example, now we have two kids. So what is the setup going to be like? Like who is with the delegation at this time, who eats first, um, where's the, if the baby is napping at this time and I'm here, then the other coach is with Coach Ave, and we're literally, I mean, the system has to be ironed out. In the same way, like when I took the coaching course in Tacloban, um, when I look back on it, yeah, that was pretty difficult. But we were like, I have to do this, and there has to be a way, because I kept postponing it and postponing it because something kept coming up, and we're like, no, this, if something is important to you, you're going to find a way to make it happen. And of course the timing has to be right. So adjustments, yes, as a mom, we would love to be in Spain every year, bringing kids every year, but realistically, like, we're getting a little bit older.
Mm.
It's so tiring. It is tiring. So it became every other year, without sacrificing letting go of the program, but at the same time still being realistic with how we can manage our health, our physical health at this point. Yeah.
And I love the mindset really that you had towards everything that both of you have achieved in football. It's really just having that mindset and also knowing that it can be done. It's going to be hard, but you always allow yourself to believe that it can be done because you find it important. You guys have found different ways to make it happen. And I think that as we're talking about, of course, all these football programs and the projects that you have done, I'd also like to get to the root of it, of as well as the fact that both you and your husband are both have your football and coaching credentials, not just in football, but in education as well. So take us through the courses and schoolings that you've had to go through to really put yourself in this situation right now.
Well, I always tell this to our kids, especially the ones that are, entering college, and or trying to figure out their path. We didn't know this was going to happen. We didn't know that we were going to pursue education or sports as our livelihood. And so when these opportunities came about, and when we sort of decided to really pursue it, we had to roll with the punches, meaning you don't just say, okay, I'm going to put up a football school and just run with the credentials that you have. You have to prepare yourself. So in our situation, what happened was, because, for example, starting from college, Abe graduated with a degree in behavioral science, and mine was international studies. And so when we had decided to go full time with it, I had mentioned in 2004, that is when I quit my job first. I had to stop my work at the embassy. I took a course in the States that under the US Soccer Federation. Abe had shifted to a career in teaching. He taught in Southridge, again, to somewhat understand the psychology of high school kids out off the pitch. And so we had to take those steps. Now, aside from switching jobs, and we didn't do it at the same time because we didn't want to go hungry. So we have to be smart about how we were going to make our move. And so aside from that, we went back to school because we didn't just want to be licensed coaches, but we also wanted to be licensed teachers. In order to take the licensure exam for teachers here in the Philippines, you have to have graduated from an education course, which we didn't. So we went back to school and took the certificate in teaching program, which is basically you going back to school, getting your 21 units of education before you take the LET. So we actually did that for Football Fanatics, not knowing that years down the line we would put up the FF Daycare Club, which is somewhat our spin-off uh, preschool type of toddler learning center that we have right now, which is a whole other story. But we we went to school for 2 years at night while Abe was teaching, and in the daytime. And we studied. We even broke up within that year. Within those 2 years, we had broken up for 1 year, but we said, no, we are committed to this. And even if we were not the happiest with each other personally, we're like, we're not going to stop. Like, we've put too much of ourselves into this, and we have such a commitment to our kids that it was not even a thought to stop, even when our personal relationship wasn't going where we wanted. Luckily for us, we had matured and we ended up back together and years later getting married. But we really persevered during that time, taking the course, luckily passing the let, both of us passing the let. And we just kept, like I said, inserting into our schedule, taking the AFC C license. And then we have mentors like Coach Moor Rosen. I'm sure you're familiar with him. We had met him when he had come to the Philippines as well. Early on, I think maybe the first time was, well, before 2010 for sure. And every time he would come back, because we also love his philosophy, and every time he'd come back, we'd ask him to do a seminar for our football fanatics coaches. Like, we are always so hungry for knowledge and to be exposed to, these, the thing with coaches like Coach Maor, even at the level that they're at, he's like a UEFA pro instructor, and he inspires us to always want more, not more in terms of material things, but to always want to know more. So that has been instilled in us. It's like, you don't stop. Any course we're able to attend, we go for it. Any seminar, any person we can learn from, experience wise, knowledge wise, workshops, we take it and then we pass it on to our coaches. So we're constantly trying to help educate our coaches. They are experienced on their own, but we also try to give them the FF perspective, the FF way, the FF approach, and how they deal with our kids. And we set that standard and we help them carry that out. So in terms of education, yes, I can say, Tosh, like, we really had to work for that. Like, you can't, and nonstop. Like, it doesn't stop. Like I said, we've been inspired by people like Coach Moore who have already reached that level, and it's still like constantly, like, I see him at games, in the last games in Rizal that we're watching, we see him taking notes and studying, and even are just like, that's how we want to be forever, and that's one way we can serve our kids, to just constantly try to give them the best.
Definitely very inspiring, and to also to for you guys to even have an inspiration and to surround yourself with such an energy that makes you want to grow and to continuously grow. It says a lot of the energy that the football fanatics family surrounds himself with. And as you mentioned it earlier, that how you constantly want your coaches and you guys as well to constantly evolve and to grow, the FF approach. So what is the football fanatics approach? What is your coaching and football philosophy as already a pillar in the coaching and football world in the Philippines?
Well, to try to explain it to people who are not part of it, because the kids who are part of it, when we say the FF way, they know exactly what we mean because they're a part of it, right? So I'll try to do justice to our term for it. Basically, in our approach, it's very holistic. We don't just, and when I say holistic, I mean it in a technical perspective in terms of football, and I also mean it in a overall growth developmental perspective for the child. So when we say the technical perspective of the kids, holistic approach, meaning we want every area of their growth and knowledge as a football player being fed. So that's their football IQ, their technical, their foundation, really having down the proper technique, and how to be a team player. So it's not just about your technique, but also about knowing when and where to use which type. That's when you say a player is skillful, because they know how to make good decisions, when to use their skills, or when to use this particular technique. So we want to develop players that are whole in that sense, good decision makers and technically sound. Then from the developmental side, as an overall, our approach is really focused on preparing kids who are equipped for life. It is more than just being a player on the field. Yes, you'll have your superstars, but our kids know that when we train and when we raise our children, we want them to be good people. We want them to be, good individuals that actually care about each other, that would help each other through the most difficult times, and who can carry themselves well, know how to respect others. And these values are instilled in our program in how we teach the kids. We try to set good examples. We give very meaty talks to the kids before the game, after the game, and we help them process it, because of course every team wants to win. Your goal is to win. You want to do well, but you have to give value also to how the kids improve every year, how a team grows, and you have to be patient with that. And at the same time, you also have to help them process losses. We want to win, yes, but when our kids lose, do they completely lose their minds and totally crack because they can't take a loss? We want to prepare kids for life, and in life, it's not always going to be that easy. So we always think of a bigger picture. And through the years, the kids who have stayed with us from day one, their families, and the people whom they've referred into our program, they understand that it's more than just the sport. And when we look out for our kids, like we've gone to the extent of like housing housing a player at this point that was given an opportunity to play on the national team, and we didn't want him to miss out on that opportunity, but we didn't want him to have to go back to the province. And so Ava and I took him in and we said, look, we have a baby, we have a toddler, can we manage a teenager? But there was no, it was like it was just like, of course we're gonna do it. Like it was like a no-brainer. It's like we're gonna find a way to put him through school. We'll try to get him a scholarship. We'll show the talent that he has. We'll show the kind of person that he is. And let's just hope for the best and work hard to help provide this opportunity. Like we will go beyond we'll go beyond our title as coach, and not because anyone's asking us to or because we want to show this is what we do. Not at all. It's because it's really what's in our heart, and if we did otherwise, we wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Basically, that's just the bottom line. Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that your program has been so successful is that integrity that you guys have and emulate and show the parents, the kids. Because I don't know if you know this, Tosh, how easy it is to like go wayward in the way the situation is, especially in like Manila. Like it's so saturated with football academies, with football clubs. It's so easy for you to think that in order for me to succeed, I need to, do things beyond like um these values that I set forth to begin with.
Yes.
It's so easy to do that and to think that you'll be successful. But I think what they've Candice and Ave and Football Fanatics has been able to show us is that it doesn't need to be that way. You can have integrity and you can keep your values and stick to your philosophy and still be successful. And I think that's one of the things we really wanted to showcase today is that
Belay.
sorry, I think it's me. My voice also is kind of cracking. But yeah. So I mean, it's just something that we want to showcase is that there is a way to do it properly, and it's not always, you don't always have to go against your philosophy or your values or your morals to get something done.
That's true.
Definitely. And you could really see how much heart you guys have in just really promoting and spreading football all throughout. Like it doesn't end on the pitch. You could see it, as you said, like taking a teenager into your home and treating him as your own so that you can help him further pursue his football career here in Manila as well. And that's the thing. It's like if you believe in something so much, which is very evident in what you guys do, you can see that it can transcend into and through so many things, most especially right now through this pandemic. This is something that everyone is really, it was like a curveball thrown at everyone of, okay, now you have to adjust to it. And I think that the other thing that a lot of people would want to know is really just how much football fanatics were able to evolve and really just to survive even throughout the pandemic to make sure that they're still up and running.
Well, to give a clear picture how much we were hit by it, we have the football school, which we've been talking about, right? But we also have a daycare. All right. So when we had Tiago, we launched a program. We wanted also a holistic approach. We were looking for something for our son that we couldn't find. We wanted a program that was teaching was exposing him to arts and crafts, music and movement, sports, while teaching his ABCs. And because we had become educators and we had studied for it, we said, you know what, we can't find it. Let's build it. Let's make a program. And we literally started like putting up a play area in our office, in our FF office. At the time, it was much smaller. And we built the program from there, kind of like how we started with FF. So then it started to grow. We opened in Makati. We are the service providers of the child care center of Johnson and Johnson Philippines, and then we opened a bigger branch in BF. Then the pandemic happens, so we got hit on both sides, our daycare side and our football side, because kids can't come out. So we got hit pretty hard, in other words. And I think when it happened at first, we were pretty calm because we were seeing how things were going to roll out. We knew everybody was going to have to adjust, and everybody is home all of a sudden in quarantine. And I think we weren't really panicking in the start. All right, we weren't panicking in the start. The way we handled it basically was, we knew that we would have to go online, we would have to go virtual, but our first step was um, we didn't force our kids into team training right away. We didn't launch a bunch of programs and, okay, everybody, let's get back. Of course, things were difficult for us. I mean, we reached a point within this quarantine, I think it was in May, we had to shut down our and that was difficult because I was 3 years in, super doing well. It was really blooming, and we had to shut it down because realistically we couldn't afford the rent if the kids weren't coming in. And we're talking preschoolers, toddlers. We were a daycare center, so even though that went online, eventually we got hit hard. And so what Ave and I did at first was, our decision was to not force anyone to get into training right away. We developed a program that was basically first optional. You can book a one-on-one class, a buddy class, a small group class, maybe for you and your siblings, or let's say players that are close and want to do 3-4 kids at a time. And we gave the option, whoever is ready, because every family went through something different. Some were not ready. I mean, we had made a decision to cut our price into half to help everybody in this pandemic, to not be charging the same rates. And so we made it affordable and we made it optional. And we gave everybody time to sort of settle into this new normal. That was our first step. And while that was happening, we were preparing our online program, our virtual program. How can we structure this in a way that would still be interesting for the kids, that can cater to their overall fitness as a football player? And so we worked on that. Again, we went back to the drawing board and started preparing while we were waiting. And once everyone was a little bit more settled into their new normal, that's when we started launching our team trainings, like our Forza U7, our Forza U9, and everyone was looking for each other already, and just that need to kind of be together. So it was very gradual how we had launched the virtual program. And before we had done that, we developed new skills along the way. Like, for example, we knew the kids would be home. We weren't forcing classes on anyone, so we put up a YouTube channel and we started making videos that the kids could follow with their families, like games you could do with your sibling, drills you could do at home. And it was, again, optional. You want football, you turn on your TV, you hook up your YouTube, and then you'll see the football there. So Abe taught himself how to edit. So he's a self-taught video editor. We had all of that. We acquired new skills. And so we use the time to up our skills, to provide different ways that we could reach out to our kids without imposing on anyone. And I think in time, everything just somewhat fell into place. And now we're pretty full on with all our different training programs virtually. Of course, not all of our kids have taken to it, like for the camps, like the grassroots, the ones who in the Football Fanatics camp program. I think there are less players there that are understanding how the online training works, and some are still a bit apprehensive. But for the players who are heavy into the sport and we're at a competitive level already, everyone is very accustomed to the virtual training. So I would think we are doing the best that we can given the situation at this point. Yeah.
Definitely. It's a very interesting, not just technique and approach, but just more of the as we talked about earlier, that from your whole experience and how all of you started, that it comes to no surprise that you're able to still thrive even if there is a pandemic, because you already set your mindset out to be in such great shape to move forward, to overcome obstacles, that it has helped you, as we said, transcend into so many different things. And for those who maybe not weren't here from the very beginning, I'm just going to enumerate it. I'll try to enumerate, just as much as I can, all the different programs that Football Fanatics and Candice has for, in terms of the holistic approach for football. You mentioned earlier, there's a daycare. After the daycare, of course, you have the very first, the Football Fanatics. That's where it all started. And then you have your FFAS program for the advanced version. You took on the Forza as well.
Yes.
After that, you have your FICEP program, which is
Yes.
the kids with the immersion of playing in Spain. After that, you also have with FC Malaga. So that's,
Yes.
that opportunity to train and to play, to train, to go to school and play abroad as well.
Yes.
And then I'm not even gonna count how many schools. Let's just say 5. The estimate is
let's say 5.
right. They can estimate. So like you have plus the different school programs that you're attached to as well, that you handle their football. And it says about this holistic approach that Football Fanatics has for football, in a sense that it is for everyone. And as you were talking about, even with the schools that you were in connection with, it's just that it's everyone, like literally from youth age, from special needs to people who are trying to improve who want to take it to the next step, whether it's to have a college scholarship or try to make it in the youth national team and the national team eventually. So it's really a holistic approach to the whole football scenario. But I'm just gonna ask this because it seems
Channel.
like
Don't forget the YouTube channel.
the YouTube channel. So
That has been neglected the past month. Yes.
and
Have
the
to get back to that.
I just want to know what's next for Football Fanatics, because I feel that even with that energy that you bring, that this is not the end for Football Fanatics. So it's more of that
No,
you will
I
continue
hear
to
you.
grow.
Yeah.
What
You
is
know,
for Football?
I'll never forget in 2000, one of the first trips of Coach Maor back in maybe 2006 or 2007. When he saw our camps, he came and he watched one of our camps. I think it was Tahanan, and he was checking it out and like telling us what he thought. And he was like, this is just the start for you guys. He goes, you're gonna be doing so much more. And Ava and I were like, how much more can we do? At that point, we had like several venues up already, and there were a good number of kids, and we're like, well, he says it, but we don't know now. When we look back, we're like, we'll never forget the day. And I don't even know if he remembers that, but he did say that to us. He's like, you guys are going to be doing so much more. And like I said, our whole mindset of doing more is not because we want. It's not like, oh, let's do more. We're quite busy, but it just kind of, one thing takes off from another, and when we see the need for it, we're compelled to do it. So during quarantine, a couple of things actually. Well, one is that with the exposure that we have with all these kids, and like I said, we're very involved in their lives, and the older ones will definitely attest to this. Like, they come to us for problems with girls, family problems, things at home that are happening, and they talk to us beyond their football issues or whatever. And it's especially for me, it's very natural to be an advisor, to be somewhat of a counselor to them. And I felt like I wanted to be more equipped, as especially during a pandemic, because I feel that yes, it is a natural ability to be able to connect with the youth and give advice and be there for them, and for them to feel close to you, that they can open up to you. That I think is a personality thing that maybe with my mom was like that. I got that from her, but I wanted to be more equipped. So over the quarantine period, I took a course on life coaching. So I did a life coaching course, and that website is going to launch soon. But it's basically, the whole goal was to be able to provide this, to be more equipped and to have this tool to be able to help our kids who might be needing us beyond the pitch. So that's one, the life coaching aspect. The second is, again, because of our holistic approach and our education background, very early on, Ava and I launched a concept called Brains and Brawn. But because FF, as the football side, kind of took flight first, our Brains and Brawn became just like a summer thing. I would teach Spanish to some kids during the summer, and we would have tutorials only when needed. We never advertised it. But when the pandemic happened, we we said, okay, we have to dig up our brains and brawn file, and kids are going online, and it's not easy to go online, and parents are going to go crazy, having to deal with all their kids' online requirements. So our partners, we have a partner for two partners for Makati daycare. Since we shut that down, we said, let's channel all our energy and all our resources from our Makati daycare into launching the Brains and Brawn site, which is going to be a website that, from the term Brains and Brawn, it's not just for athletes, but it hopefully will cater to a lot of athletes who are looking for a tutor, who want someone online that they can tap. Like, for example, my kid needs help with science, or my kid needs help with this particular subject. They'll have the profiles of all the teachers on the site, and they find a match for them. And while they're at it, they can check the life coaches, they can check the coaches, because our football coaches will be there as well. So we wanted it to be like a one-stop shop to cater to your physical, and of course your psychological, your mental, and your growth and your needs. So the Brains and Brawn is going to make a comeback. That's something that's coming up. And the last thing that that I would say is is significantly worth mentioning, is because we have this roadmap, right? And we have from the toddlers, and we have our kids in our different programs, and they're getting older, and that's kind of why, like, our coaches right now, we all play in the sevens league, pre-COVID times, because we're sort of already paving that way for them to become adults. And when we're done playing there, these kids will be of age to already be playing. Some of them actually already are playing in our adults team that competes in the sevens league. So we have that step for them to take. Those who are staying in Manila, not going to Spain or anything, having that opportunity to play in a competitive adult environment, because the sevens league, it seems recreational because it's fun, but it's pretty intense in terms of competition. And so we have that. But the step further that we're taking is we're actually helping introduce a concept. And it's going to be coming up soon for sure. You guys will be hearing about it. But it's the concept that is happening abroad already. It's called walking football. Have you guys heard of walking football? Not yet.
Not personally.
Okay. Prior to also being contacted by the head of walking football in Qatar and of Asia, because they came to us with this concept and asked us to introduce it to the Philippines, which we have yet to do formally, but you're the first that we're talking to about it. And it's basically, if you Google it, in the UK and everywhere, like, they're playing it already. And the beautiful thing about it is it'll cater to an age category that's like 40 and up. So we don't have to worry about busting our knees anymore. We don't have to worry about getting hurt. We can play this till we're in our 60s, which people are doing around the world. Another thing is it's a no contact, no tackle sport. So it kind of suits our whole situation now with the pandemic. You have to use your football skills, but you can't come too close. And if you research on it, people are playing this. Of course, you can play it. I mean, it's five-a-side, etc. There are variations of it, and we will help, like, the Filipinos understand this all over. We're working with Coach Totot Colina, who is actually in Qatar now, and he works very much hand in hand with the head of Asia, and and we want to introduce this concept because it's something we also believe in. We're thinking, okay, yes, it's more work for us. Again, it's a non-profit thing, so there's no profit in it for us. But imagine if all of us, when we hit our 40s, 50s, and 60s, can still be playing without our tongues. Well, it's tiring. Our tongues will be hanging out, but without the super running factor or getting injured, busting our knees, and just playing with, a more social approach, making friends, bringing people into the community, and still competing. For us, that will complete that roadmap letting football reach like all ages. And so we're very excited for Filipinos and for people here to learn about the concept of walking football because that'll be coming soon as well. So that's it, guys. I think that's it.
Standing ovation for
Abe, Abe is
you.
coaching right now, but he gave me notes just in case I'd forget anything. But like, yeah, he prepped me well because he's with a client now. He's with one of the kids. Yeah.
And I don't even know like where to start or what to say, but more of just that, of course, like I just hope that a lot of people get to watch this episode because they'll see that number one, there is business in football. Technically, there is. That's one aspect. Second is that women can thrive in football. These are two very major aspects that we're also really trying to grow through, like with that knowledge, so to get more people into football as well. And third, of course, if you believe in something so much, eventually it can lead you to different places that you never thought that would lead you to. That if you just stick to something that you love, that you're
Yes.
passionate about, all of a sudden all these doors will open for you as well. You don't even have to be looking for the doors. You just have to stick to something enough, have passion in it, try to grow in it, and eventually the doors will open for you as well. And it's really just also as well, in addition to that, is your holistic approach to it, all the planning involved that you guys have done. And as you said, it really, football transcends because it's more than a sport.
Yes.
It's more than sport for anyone on this screen. And I think for people who watch this as well, they understand that football is more than a sport to us. But it's nice to see what football fanatics, and most especially Candice, what you have done is that you help people understand life through football.
I
And
think, yeah, I think also I want to just like emphasize because I mentioned earlier that we feel that surrounding ourselves with good and like-minded people are, a key element. I just want to give you guys an example, like the kind of people that we work with, like our coaches. Because when the pandemic happened, we tried, well, of course, helping everyone, giving financial aid where able. We stretched ourselves to whatever we could because we struggled as well, right? We tried to help everyone, but we also made an effort to equip everyone in the best way we could. Like, for example, the coaches that can do online training, the coaches that can do home service, we set them up with PPEs, and we invested in rapid testing kits. So weekly they're tested because every family was different. Some families could do were okay with home service and some wanted online. So aside from us prepping the coaches and providing opportunities for them to earn, um, I just want to highlight like the kind of people we have. We have a coach for not just one but several who like would call us and say, look, what I earn this month from this, can you give half of it to the coaches who aren't earning because they don't have strong enough internet or whatever. Like every time that happened, every time that someone offered that from within our team, it really like breathed life into us because it's like it didn't just stop from us. Like when we give, we're not giving because we're expecting anything in return, right? We're giving because that's what's in our hearts. But when you're able to have an impact on people who will now do the same and pay it forward, when someone that works for you tells you, look, this month right now, give half of what I earned to another coach, and no questions which coach you're choosing, just you decide. Like that moved us a lot, like to have that experience more than once with our people. So for me it's like whatever your passion is, and yes, you stick to it, and yes, you go for it. And um another thing you should really think of is who you're going to do it with. Like maybe not everyone it'll work a husband and wife team, but luckily for us it did. We don't kill each other. We know our strengths and our weaknesses. We play to each other's strengths. We help each other. We respect each other, and that helps. But to be around the team that we have, our FF coaches, like we're so proud of them. They're such a family, and I would recommend anyone who wants to do anything in football or any business at all, just find the right people that are just like you. Yeah.
definitely. As you said, it's really a holistic approach that you guys have, and the learning doesn't stop on the pitch; it's off the pitch as well. And as you said, surrounding yourself with really that good crowd, good energy, and just really that pay it forward scheme. So as you pay it forward, you change people's lives who in turn want to pay it forward and change other people's lives. So again, it's a program that goes beyond football. Like these are like, it's a
I
holistic
hope so.
program.
I hope so. I do hope so. Yeah.
For and as you said, like for me to like to be interviewing you and to be part of all this, for you to be able to let your story be known to other people as well, like I really hope that this reaches as many people as possible, because we need more people like you changing not only the football scene, but of course changing the world as well.
Appreciate that, Tosh. And well, I would like to thank you guys because I don't know if you guys are aware also what an impact you make on the lives of people like us. Like it's inspirational to see you guys always out there, always, giving this platform for people to even share their stories, making time out in your day. I know it's no joke to prep for all of this, and you guys are busy. And Belai, like you have been an inspiration for us, like with how you've been dealing with your health and at the same time never letting up. We do work with for the YFL also together, and that's also nonstop. But we take inspiration from you guys as well. So I want to be able to use this opportunity to thank women like you for doing what you do. We're super grateful, super grateful.
Mutual respect and understanding for each other here. Really
Say.
appreciate it. Yeah, and more of just like that. Balay, you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I mean, Tashi said it all, and I mean, just breezing through some of the comments on this video or this Facebook live call. I think everyone speaks so highly of Candice and the whole program, and working, like she said, working with her in the YFL. When she goes into something, she really goes all out with a pure heart, and it's really visible in everything she does. And speaking of this, we also want to share some of the fundraising activities that two of our UAAP teams have put up. UP, with their support for the custodians of UP. Oh, sorry. So we're going DLS. There you go. It's called Balik Tulong, and then it's just an initiative for that the UP men's and women's football team in partnership with the Aspire Football Academy, Coach Anto Gonzalez, someone who is also, uh, a figure who is big in the football community, of course. And then the DLSU women's football team. It's a foot. We promoted this last week with Coach Alvin asking us to, and they're going to be having the Train with DLSU football for a cause. So please check this out. I think Mia will be putting it up or has put it up on the Pinay football page. Please support them. These are very good causes. And again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Candice, so much for this.
My pleasure.
There have been so many gems of words and knowledge that have been passed on, hopefully, to everyone listening, the coaches, the players, and parents, and any supporters of football. Um, thank you for waving the flag for Filipino women football entrepreneurs. And as we're so excited, oh yeah, here's their website if you want to check out all the million things that Tasha talked about today. And we're so excited to be counting down the hashtag Grow Her Game episodes. We're going to be close to our 20th session, and we're very excited that we've been preparing so many things, so many stepping up our game for you guys. So hopefully
Awesome.
we can see you we can see you next week. And thank you, Coach Candice, and good luck with all your future endeavors. And you're more than welcome to join us anytime on this panel discussion. And thank you, guys. We'll see you next week for session 18. We're looking forward to it. Stay safe, guys.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you.